Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here on this special time. We really appreciate it. And Emily, darling, thank you. What a treat. This is your second time to be with us. It's been fully a year since you
Yeah.
were here last time. And man, oh man, so much changed. Uh, like pretty much immediately after being here with us, it was just this, freight train of intense things for you to kind of deal with in your, coming out process more and more and more of being fully connected, right, and living in that way. So we're eager to just hear sort of the catch up on you, and you're welcome to share whatever you'd like about what's been happening for you in your transitional period here of coming into more and more of your gifts and your goddess presence, if you will. And then we're going to open it up to some questions. I'm sure people have a few questions for you, and then we'll go right into the light codes transmission. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, it's interesting, Mary, because yes, it's shortly after, my last YouTube video is my interview with you
Mm.
last February. And it's so interesting. I never intended to kind of leave all of that. But I suddenly after that, and it's probably coincided with moving into the year of the wood snake, the Chinese year of the snake, because it's definitely been a year of the snake for me. And I felt very much. In fact, it didn't feel like a conscious choice in a way. It was like, okay, you need to withdraw. We need to move through some stuff here. And so I haven't been on YouTube for a year. And what I have been doing is going through this deep unraveling, shedding, rebirth process, which I feel I'm coming to the tail end of now. And I'm sure many of you can relate because a lot of us, I feel, have been going through this. Not everyone, everyone's got different things and different ways. And this for me has been a very important year to go even deeper. And Mary, we both have this have chosen a way to move through this awakening process, embodiment process in a very direct, experiential way, right? And
Yep.
I've certainly that's certainly the case for me, and this is what this year has been about. And you could say, I mean, I'm going to preface everything I say now with I don't really know, right? I don't really know what the hell is going on, but I can tell you what I've been experiencing, what I sense, and what is true for what feels true for me. But of course, you know, it's my journey, right? And so you could liken to this journey to the sort of divine feminine descent into the underworld that is typically taken by, the goddess or the priestess journey, right? Where we go down into meet all the darkness, all the stuff that's been hidden, all the gunk, and bring everything back into wholeness, right?
Okay,
And
let's hold there for just one second. I love how you just said that. The divine feminine going, how did you say it? Going down into
the underworld.
the underworld. This
That's
is
a
really true, and I think that your comment is so timely because I think there's a lot of that being drawn down into the things that are triggering that right now in our world that have been triggering that for the last year and that are coming out, especially right now. That's amazing. That's a beautiful way to say that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of the descent of what you Nana or Ishtar or Persephone or Sedna. There's all these sort of divine feminine archetypes who had to journey to the depths of the depths within their own being to be born anew as their true self and meet all the stuff that has been essentially been hidden. So you could say lots of things, right? But it's a big dismantling, unraveling, and simultaneous sort of refining and strengthening process. Really, it's about essentially reclaiming your power, knowing who you are. And it's I mean, I could probably talk for hours and hours on it, so I'll summarize, but it's essentially been a year of that coming to, I hope to the end shortly. But it's interesting because during that time, I know it's been really needed. It's very it's been deeply challenging. I mean, the depths of sort of purification and real release of all that can't come forward with me, clearing out the pipes, simultaneously returning to what is true, right? What is, the purity and the wholeness that I am. And all this stuff that we're doing is just the human stuff that we've accumulated. and
Yeah.
the ancestral stuff that is really the conditioning, the programs, the projections, the distortions, all the stuff that is not really truly who we are. And it's like being refined like a diamond to shine with more clarity and more purity and authenticity, essentially. And so a lot of that can be a gentle process, or it can be a really rough, rip the band-aid off kind of, you're stronger than you think you are,
Yeah.
you need to be bolder, you need to be braver. I've had to develop a lot of courage, a lot of strength and boldness and confidence, and learn a lot, learn about overgiving and all these patterns that we inherit, uh, you know, so much, so much. It's been a pretty arduous journey, but a really necessary one where I feel more authentically me than I've ever felt. Feel more I can just be who I am. And my gifts have really strengthened and deepened as well. And over this time, I haven't been doing nothing. I have been cultivating my community and working. I've really transitioned from working with one-to-ones. I do work one-to-ones, but really I'm gravitating to working with more groups, because as I've been going through this process, my sort of power, as in the power of source, is able to flow more through me because I've built the architecture, or I've returned to the blueprint and the sacred architecture. It's a real embodiment process. As you clear out, your soul can come more fully in, right? And not just um it's not so surface level. It's like once you really come into your toes, into your pelvis, into your fullness, you can be that conduit, or that, however you want to describe it, basically living embodiment and expression of the light. And this
Yeah.
is happening to
You
lots of
know,
us, so we can flow this into the world in our everyday lives now.
yes. And what you're speaking to is what I've described as sort of letting go of the old scaffolding of
Yes,
our being. And so our infrastructure literally changed. And it not only is like restructuring, it's becoming way more porous, like
yes,
almost more ethereal than concrete in the old ways that scaffolding held in place. So everything you're speaking to is very familiar. And also, Emily, just, clearly you're one of these people that made like this journey coming in here was never going to be small. So it's no accident that you have multiple like teams helping you because you had so much to, sort of undo. But you did that intentionally. Like that undoing is also healing everything, right? It's
yeah.
healing all that you said earlier, the things that can't come with me. And that's not a rejection. It's just that they no longer need to be carried in the densities of those old things. And now they can all be set free as you are, right? In your
Yes,
true form.
absolutely. It is truly like a liberation process. And it's so funny you said that about scaffolding, because only a couple of weeks ago, I had a really interesting experience that was exactly like that. And um, I don't know if I've told you about this, Mary, or if I did put it in my newsletter, but I had this experience where I woke up in the middle of the night to what I thought sounded like workmen outside taking down scaffolding. And I was so convinced. I was like, what are they doing that for in the middle of the night? And I know what that taking down the scaffolding sounds like, because we've got, people, living on our street who have had extensions and so forth and had the piping up. And it's really noisy taking it down. And I heard exactly that really loudly, but I was aware that it couldn't really be happening. And I had this complete awareness and realization that that's actually what's happening. Like this old scaffolding is being dismantled. And it is like exactly how you described, to allow for this a different software operating system that is more true to come online, which I feel is our innate sacred sort of inner technology, if you like, or inner blueprint or architecture, or however you want to describe it, that is truly sacred and pulses with light and flow and openness. And it's not that dense containment
Yeah.
and the rigidity.
In your case, sometimes it's actual the physical changing. I remember you
Oh,
telling us about your jaw, that you'll if you all haven't heard her before, she has this very fast clicking kind of thing that can happen, and she said there was no way she would be able to do that, but they came in and literally worked on your physical structure to be able to handle the kinds of codes and um, transmissions that are coming through. It's very physical for you.
Yeah, excuse me, Mary. I'll be drinking a lot of water. I have to when I do these things.
Good.
It's extremely, extremely physical. The whole process for me has felt like, I mean, I look in the mirror in the morning and think, how can I still look the same with all this going on? I don't understand why I don't haven't literally transformed physically because it feels so much like I have. From the beginning of my journey, I've experienced things very physically. And I think it's partly the sort of uniqueness of my gifts because my team have told me my structure is a portal. You know, I have the energy structure of a portal to allow the codes that are needed on Earth at this time to come through me. And clairvoyant people can often see this through my ears and through my face and all sorts. I can feel it, and it's quite freaky at times to the human part of me that feels literally the channels coming through my head here. You know, yes, I've had lots of work done on me to be able to channel the codes that I bring through because I wouldn't be able to say do that as a human. And yes, I can feel literally as I'm working on certain areas of my body, I can literally feel the currents moving through circuitry in my system. And in fact, this year, that reminds me, I started doing something completely new in my daily practices. And so I noticed that I started bringing through light codes that weren't spoken. So my daily practice became quieter. I stopped actually speaking as many light codes. And I started channeling hand mudras that are very, very intricate and working through my central channel and working through my body. And as I was doing that, I can physically feel changes happening within. And I'll be sort of, you know, adjusting myself and clearing out and moving things around. And it would take often hours. In the earlier part of the year, I'd be doing this for 4 or 5 hours a day sometimes. It was really intense. And that's died down a bit now. But as I've been doing this, it sort of deepened my I hate to say sort of healing abilities because it's not really me, but the abilities for me to my sort of abilities to facilitate healing for others by going much deeper. And so the work I'm doing now is quite deep energy work and helping with all of this restructuring process, this embodiment process essentially. And so, but it starts with me and my physicality. And I do truly believe that we are here to, you know, this embodiment process is like we say this word, but we are literally bringing light into every cell of our body. We are biologically becoming the light, right? A lot of people call this the new human or the illumined beings or whatever, but I can physically feel this happening. In fact, sometimes when I'm doing codes and I go down into the earth, I can kind of see a glow sometimes coming through my hands. I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. It's, you know, the embodiment of that light that we are is becoming more and more felt and known to us. And well, it's going to be interesting to see how things evolve over the next few years because I think a lot of people are, you know, I'm not the only one. A lot of us are going to be living more in this way.
Yeah.
And this is what we're co-creating and moving into together. But the process itself can feel very strange and very discombobulating to the small me, you know, my personality self, you know, but
Yeah.
you have to really trust and open up to that vastness, to trust what's happening and allow for the mystery and allow for the unknown because we don't really know who we are becoming. And that's what's exciting.
You know, just when you said the word mystery, I just felt this love gush. Just the like, oh, this delicious mystery because it speaks to our inability to predict, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know. And so the
Yeah.
discovery is so damn wondrous. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, who would have, you could never have predicted 5 years ago that you'd be sitting here talking about all of this stuff, experiencing all of this stuff, talking about, physically restructuring through these, like, there's no way we would have been able to predict. So the wonder of all that unfolds. And I also just want to reiterate what Emily just said was it all starts with me. It all starts in here. There's there's never a case where that's not so, right? We're the source of
Absolutely,
it.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always reiterate that, Mary, when I'm bringing my codes through and everything, you know, it is always a collaboration and it's always, 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 always assisting you coming more into who you truly are. That's all this is about. This is all about you discovering and being more in your true authentic you-ness, right, as your wholeness. And this is just assisting in that process. Like we all have, we're all assisting each other.
Mhm.
And I just happen to have kind of this kind of a bit way out way of doing it, but it doesn't make some people can be doing this working with children or in their families, or it's very much thank goodness everyone's so beautifully unique.
Yep.
However, saying that, I do feel like many of us will be opening up to more mystical
Yep.
ways of being, because that's inherently who we are. We all have, we're all different and different, having different sort of themes and parts of our soul that want to express through this life and different roles and so forth. But essentially, we are far more than we think we are. So I think many of us will be opening up to um, our innate mystical gifts or abilities that I think are inherent. They've just been shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Beautiful. Well, thank you for that update. And we're very glad to hear that you're kind of in a new, crossing over a new threshold here as we enter into a new kind of phase. And glad that you're with us in that transitional stage. That's beautiful.
Thanks, Mary.
So if you're all right, let's just open it up to for a few questions before Emily does her light codes. And I just want to remind everybody about the sensitivity of time. And so we leave plenty of time for Emily to do her thing with us. Yeah, Lynn, and then Trina and Carol.
With the galactic teams that work with you, is there anything you can share from your experience, if this has happened with the Lyrans?
So the first thing I have to say about this is that I've never the way I work has never been gone out to try and connect with other beings. That's never, ever, ever been what I've sought to do or tried to do, and or been interested, quite frankly, in doing. I know a lot of people do, and I'm not knocking that, but I've never been trying to channel a being or a collective or anything like that. All this has happened very organically, and yes, part of this is me embodying my multidimensional aspects, part of which might be of my bigger whole self, right? Lyran or Lyran or angelic or whatever, 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 because that's part of the vastness of I am. And part of also my experience is, yes, certain of those frequencies will feel more familiar and be part of maybe my soul history, or however my multidimensionality and the connections I have. I actually do have a very strong Lyran or Lyran aspect. Now, when I was starting my light language, when I was earlier on in this journey, I went through a very distinct embodiment process of integrating those aspects of myself into my being here. So they feel less separate and they're more part of who I am. So hence I naturally flow that, but I don't always say, oh, this is Lyran, I'm speaking Lyran. This is this, I'm speaking that. One, because I have a very big team, and my multidimensional is pretty massive, and it would just slow things down for me to say this is this, this is this, this is this. It would take you completely into your head. You'd start thinking, oh, this is what a Lyran is, or is it Lyran? And automatically you're not present anymore, and you're starting to imagine what all that is. So I don't deliberately do that, and also my team deliberately don't tell me because of that. Often they don't deliberately bring anything through my mental state, so I can be only pure in my heart when I'm bringing through these codes. And if it's important and necessary, they will say, I will get a strong sense of some beings or some energies or just a distinct frequency that they might want to share. And yes, but I've got such a big team that it would just be too vast. But yes, the Lyran, there's quite a lot of people who are bringing through sort of quite Lyran or Lyran frequencies, and maybe you have a connection with that, Lynn, and just feel into it. But I feel like that we are all, we are all more than we think we are, and so that might be part of you that you're integrating, or as part of your multidimensionality, to come more into expression and come more into embodiment. So I definitely had a lot of Lyran energy working with me last year, actually.
And what you just said is very in line with the way that consensus works as well. We rarely know which entities are in the stadium. And if we need to know in like a consultation or something, it will become clear. But oftentimes, if it was clear, then the mind would has an association with it and a story and an assumption with those beings or those groups. And then the mind would just run with it instead of just staying fully present in what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's really, really important. And my team have told me over and over again, that's really important because especially for the energy work and healing, right? Because the most important thing is to be present.
Yeah.
And so that means, and all of this is why it's just codes. It bypasses the
Yeah.
mind to go on a much deeper level, and then also it allows people to have their own experience
Yeah.
and their own realizations, because as I said earlier, I'm not doing anything to anyone. I'm bringing through these codes and these energies and frequencies to help work with you and your wholeness, so you can receive and interpret what is right for you. And so yeah, we were very similar in that way, Mary.
Beautiful. I just want to clarify something. Sometimes people are really confused about the word codes, and I just want to say how I relate to it. I speak often about alchemy. Some other people have actually said, Mary is an alchemist, and this is my kind of work, and that is how I experience it, definitely experience. But when you think about what the alchemy is like this pattern coming in, a code of patterns coming in that changes things, right?
Yes.
That alchemizes and changes. So basically, the codes are what is inciting the alchemy. It is the substance of the alchemy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's kind of like that. My team explained, well, first of all this what been explaining to you is the alchemical process, all that I've
Yeah.
been going through this year. It's really literally, the grit that becomes the pearl, it's the lead that becomes the wisdom, everything is what transforms into our wisdom, into our empowerment, into our light. And yes, the codes are like that, and some people can actually see those, and they've told them they can see them like symbols and almost like mathematical things or codes and sacred geometry that come in and yes, work like that. The My team also explained that it also works in a sort of quantum physics way, sort of goes way beyond my mind, right? But it's really working in the quantum field, to they were sort of saying about collapsing potentials, and every time you focus and you direct the energies and you're creating a potential, and you can collapse old potentials and create new potentials and something like that. Don't ask me to explain, it goes way beyond my mind. But yeah, the codes come into essentially work on that level, because I'm coming really into that pure zero point as much as I can, into that place of pure, all and nothingness. It allows the codes to come through and do exactly what is needed on that whole level, right, in the now moment, right, that works throughout time. It's not linear.
Yep.
And so yes, it's way beyond my understanding, but that's why I often like to use codes rather than light language, because although people use the word light language channeling, it's kind of not what I feel I am. I know a lot of people channel light language, but this is a little bit different. Yes, I speak light language, but I'm not really, people assume then it's something to interpret with the mind and understand,
Right.
and it can have a direct translation. And when you hear, sometimes it does feel like that someone's talking through me, my team do talk through me and merge with me and direct me, but the codes are often short phrases, and you've heard strange sounds or singing, and that really do, yes, work in like fitting codes or keys into locks that turn, that create something else, that do something else, that work like mathematics or something that is really helping reform, reshape, release, remove,
Yep.
it's remember. So yeah, I prefer to use that, but can be confusing to really understand what that means. But it's not. I prefer it to language often.
Yeah. Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you for that. All right, we'll go to Trina up north. Hey, babe.
My question is, what triggered you to start speaking the light codes? How did that happen for you to begin with?
Well, thanks for asking. Firstly, I way before the light codes came on, I'd been on a sort of spiritual path for several years, where I started realizing I'm more than I thought I was. And I started realizing I work with energy. I started seeing energy very clearly. I could see suddenly the unseen. And it was kind of overwhelming at the time. I was kind of plunged in to the deep end of this whole new world. And there was no light language at that time, but I realized that I had these, that's when I kind of realized I had sort of, I was kind of had a priestess lineage, you could say, where I was able to move and work with energy. And I started to develop daily practices to do this. And then something really interesting happened. I had never really been into light language. I hadn't really heard of light language. And so it came as a bit of an abrupt surprise. I'd started doing more embodiment practices like dance and singing and really stuff to get me in my body and a lot of healing work. And out of the blue, one day I was doing that and light language suddenly came on like a tap had just been put on full, and it came through my body, through my hands and through my voice. And literally once that tap was on, it never went off. And in fact, you know, those who have been following me for, it's only a couple of years, almost two, hang on, let me think, 3 years, almost 3 years now. But it suddenly came through in a very varied way. And so I've never just spoken one dialect or brought through one set of codes. There are some things that stay with me, but those who have been with me for a while can see it vastly changed. It would probably be completely different to what it was last year I was with you all. But yeah, it was so sudden. And I had to sort of Google what it was, because I was like, what is this? Is this light language? Oh yeah. And then I happened to listen to or watch a YouTube video of this woman who spoke a bit of light language at the end. I was like, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. And so I realized. And then so it was, yeah, again, I've never ever been a seeker. I've never ever been a seeker. I've never read books. I've never tried to study this stuff. It's all been just come through me. It's very strange. I can't explain it or describe it, to be honest. It's very mystical.
That is so fun. I really love the very idea of, I speak from experience. When things first started happening with me, I don't know even what to ask. What do you put into Google? Like, what's the question that you put into Google?
I know.
What the hell is happening here?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
gibberish, right?
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily. And thanks for the question, Trina. Carol, over on the West Coast. Hi, babe.
My question is about the embodiment of what you spoke. What I've always loved about Mary's community is that we are about being here in our bodies, but I'm just curious about the light we are, and if you could expand a little bit on that aspect.
Sure. And thank you. I mean, I don't really know. Yeah, it's a big mystery. But I can only ever talk from my own experience. And so I spent a lot of time in my early years out of my body from trauma, like many of us have, in living in more of a dissociated state. And you can experience a lot when you're in that state, right? When you're not in the body, because you can have access to, you know, all the stuff. There are lots of stuff to be had there, but when I don't believe that a lot of us are here now to live in that state. And the traditional sort of transcendent states are great, and there's nothing wrong, you know, with transcendence, because we are far more than the body. But my path, and I believe a lot of our paths now of ascension, is actually a descension process where the infinite light and love of source that we are wants to experience itself right here, right now, through form, right? It's kind of that meeting of spirit and matter, that merging of heaven and earth through our physical bodies. And I can't really tell you exactly what's happening. A lot of people say, you know, we're becoming crystalline, we're literally becoming enlightened, illumined, like I was just sort of mentioning earlier. But I feel like it's like Mary says, how the divine wants to express, or how do you say it, Mary, like the divine living as the divine through us, as us. And I feel like we're moving into an era where it's just, you know, we've gone through a lot of those religious and spiritual traditions that have been very much about we're not our body. And of course, we're not just our body, we're far more than our body. Yet a lot of those traditions, which typically are masculine, are more about leaving the body and not seeing the sacredness and the holiness of our bodies. And that is more of a feminine path. It's always been about, you know, the feminine's always been about the body and about the earth and about being here and experiencing life, and through the form and as the form. But it's a trickier process because it's not comfortable. you know, to come and descend into the density of form, it's challenging. You know, you have to meet your stuff. You have to go off and into the underworld. You have to meet the density, and you have to bring everything back into light that is being seen as separate, because of course this has all been seen as separate from the divine for such a long time. But what if it's not? Here now, we're going out of that era of separation where the divine is outside of ourselves, right? And we're calling back our power and our presence to be that state of light and love, which I see as one sort of thing, you know, light, love, light, which is kind of infinite, that wants to express through us individually as the kind of what we're moving into now as a collective. We're sort of shifting out of that external sense of authority to our internal sense of authority as divine beings, to be lived in real time, in real life. And I think this ascension process is part of that, us ascending into higher consciousness through the body, to elevate the frequency on earth and to live as the light, so we can ground that in and really create a more loving world, not escape anywhere. When we do this process and becoming in our bodies, it's all about starting being less mind driven and logic dominated, which has been going on for so long, to it's like learning a whole new way of communicating, of being, of expressing, which is non-linear, often non-verbal. And it's about what you said, you feel it, because, and you know it to be true because of the resonance, right? So it becomes, and this is really going to be important in the coming age when we're going into all the AI and the technology, you know, you need to, you know, us awakening through our bodies is almost the antithesis of that drive towards more mental, more linear, more technology, more separate, right? Because when we're here, we know what is true, what feels right for us. And you can only do that when you're really in your body and you're able to be present here. What's true for me? What's not true for me? You feel the aliveness and what feels expansive and what feels true for yourself. And that's the key, because you can only really live that way, knowing what's true for you and doing what feels really deeply true for you.
Good.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Emily. I just want to add here, you know, this is the essence of the Embodied Radiance course, right? Because in that course, it's like the recognizing, it says right off the start, this isn't for seekers. This isn't for any, it's the realization that it's all already here. Seeking implies that we're not there yet, or we're not that yet, right? But this is about, in the presence, realizing that the body is the expression of the divine. We have just claimed it in a small I or a false I identity, right? So the embodiment is the divine itself being that which is aware of being here in a body. So the embodiment is it. This is, you know, the realization of the divine here, through, and as each of us. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfectly said.
All
Perfectly
right,
said.
we have one last question, and then we want to get with the ability to take in what Emily has to offer. So we'll go over to Anna over in San Fran.
When you talk about this dismantling, if I'm understanding correctly, it's like in this terms of self, there's this core unconditioned self, which kind of in itself is the portal to the power of source. And then and that's like presence and such. And then there's this conditioned self, you know, the psyche, the nervous system. So when you speak of, and all the, you know, the beliefs and everything, that layer of myself, then when Mary and you are using different terms like dismantling, maybe alchemizing, you know, that aspect of self, it becomes almost like more porous, the belief structures, the everything. So it seems that there's this, what's becoming more refined with more clarity is perhaps that aspect of self. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'd like to hear Mary's perspective of this as well. But yes, essentially, I see, you know, our soul is pure and is whole. You know, our bigness is whole and not conditioned. And then we come in and we're born and we kind of fragment and splat a bit, you could say. And, you know, become like that it's like that pure lamp you know, let's say you're like, your soul is like the pure lamp, flame or light, right? And then the glass casing just is all sort of smeary and needs clearing up a bit, and all the belief systems, all the ancestral programming. I mean, there's just, you know, lots and lots of stuff that isn't truly, you know, you could say it's distortions on density that truly aren't really that purity of our soul. And so as we go through this natural process of letting go of the conditioning, the programs, the projections, the false identities, the belief systems, and all the stuff. I mean, so there's a lot of stuff, gunk. And yes, we allow more of that wholeness that we are to be fully lived and embodied and expressed through this form and this lived experiencing. And as Mary was saying, it's not comfortable to bump up against that, but that's what the journey can be, right? It's the gradual process of not associating with that, all of that, because we live from that place until we realize we don't have to, and that's not us. And so that's the process of like, oh yeah, I'm not that belief system, I'm not that. But it, you know, it takes time, because this is largely a lot of subconscious material. And sometimes the processing of this is very somatic, right? It's not understood through the mind. So sometimes this process is uncomfortable through the body because it's releasing cellular memory, releasing conditioned responses and patterns, and that are held in your posture, in your ways of relating, in all sorts of things. And this is the process, right, of shedding and refining and becoming. So you could say it's, use the word alchemy for that. I always feel like there's a simultaneous dismantling and building. I don't feel like you have to get, you know, you get to a certain linear point and then you, okay, right? Because it's like, as you clear out, you strengthen. You know, it's like a unbecoming and a becoming, and sort of forgetting and remembering. So it's like, you know, that kind of process. That's what it's been like for me as well. I don't know what you have to say there, Mary.
Well, I would agree 100% with everything you just said. And, you know, those of you who are following along in the Paul Selig books, you know, Paul Selig's guides talk about clearing the debris off the window, right? So the vision becomes clearer, our what we're aware of is becoming clearer, and it's very much that way inside. The clarity happens in lots of ways. We're not only clarifying our field, so we have more purity of light here. I feel it and experience it very much like coming out of mud and muck, and you know, sort of rising up. And this is, you know, the equivalent of the analogy of the basement, the first floor, the fifth floor, the penthouse, and then up in the cosmos. Our vision gets clearer and clearer and clearer the more we're in that kind of pure essence state, rather than in the muck of all of the conditioned, constructed, inherited mess and chaos and jumbledness of being. So the clarity happens on lots of different levels, but as we sort of get in more and more and more of that higher frequency state, the radiance of being is what becomes clear, right? That clarity of a sense of true being. The I becoming more clearly the divine I, right? Not the small I that's still, you know, covered up with all of the debris of beliefs and conditioned ideology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much for taking the time to answer folks' questions. Thank you all for those helpful questions. Every time somebody introduces something into the field, the answer can meet everybody where they're at. So we never know. So thank you very much for everybody for asking. All right, Emily, if you feel prepared, darling, we're ready for you.
Okay. So I just want to say a few things first. I'm going to put some lip gloss on because I need to moisten my lips. And I'll probably drink quite a bit of water for this because it's a lot. I get quite hot often. So there's nothing you have to do for this. This is like a transmission. But as I said, and this is very, very important, I'm not doing anything to you. You're not passive, right? And you don't really need this. You know, you are whole. You're exactly where you're meant to be. You know, you're beautiful and brilliant. Yet this is just, you know, I'm lovingly sharing my gifts from my wholeness to meet you, to see what we can do together. So on a deeper level, this is really a collaboration. So I invite you to not see yourself as passive And so in your heart, just opt in and say yes, you would like to receive what is most helpful for you. And you might even have some kind of intention or something that's on your heart or you're working through that you'd really love support with. And this is a way of us helping move the energies into where the energies will be most helped to be moved. So it's not just, I mean, always my team can see the high perspective of what's most helpful, right? So we always know that and trust that you always receive what you need and you always get what you need for where you're at. But it's helpful to know that when you come into this, that you are participating on a deeper level, even if you don't feel you are, right? It invites your inner healer to step forward, to work, to help you. It invites your soul to come forward and orchestrate and work with my teams, right? So there's nothing you have to do but except for say yes and know that you are part of this collaboration. So thank you for all you're bringing forth, that is bringing forth these codes. And so that said, I invite you all to just get comfortable and relax. And it's quite normal. I don't know how long this will go on for. Usually it's 20-30 minutes, but we'll see. I'm just going to take a few breaths myself. The way this will work is most of you might want to close your eyes and just deeply relax. If you want to lie down or sit down, do whatever's comfortable for you. Just try and be present in your heart. That's all I ask. And make sure your notifications are off and all of that so you can feel undisturbed. Some people, I don't know how it's going to work today. I have no idea until it happens. It might just be quite an activating kind of transmission, or it can be deeply healing. And a lot of people actually go out of sort of conscious awareness during the codes, and that's completely normal. I will be bringing through the transmission of codes, and as I do so, I'll be sharing with you where I'm going on my body, which would be like a mirror for your body. Having said that, trust your process because everyone's got their own unique process, but that's all I'll be sharing, anything that comes to me. So I'll be working through the physical body and directing the codes in that way. So that said, I'm just going to get into relaxed space so I can bring through what's helpful for us today. You might want to take a couple of deep breaths with me down into your belly and a long, slow exhale. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, sinking deeper into your body, feeling the weight of your body on your chair or whatever you're resting upon, feeling that support beneath you. If you're sitting with your feet on the ground, feel that connection point between the soles of your feet and the earth beneath you. Okay. Etrashandro makata keshi, irana shanaro mene katakashanum, irashakandro meteshi, irashatro mane esheni, irashandro makata keshi, inyara irashandro ane esheni. Kondro makata ketekeshi, noro makata konomeshe, irashakadro matakata kata umeshe, ane. So I've come into the sacral area and this point on the middle of the hairline, holding here. Don't worry if some of my codes sort of don't come through perfectly in the sound, you'll still receive them. Tranasha karanome shakitra katurtutu me rakashandra matakarashitra otrotum irashaka etera shandra atromakatakashi inya trakatutu onome keshetra atrotu onome eshenia. Tranasha tranakete esheni tromatakata alani eshenilum. Irashakara odom esheki etrashandrom eshe iya. I'll come over to the left hip. Itran akiata altrum akani eshe. Minya oromakatakashi ya. Ufwe. Ikate edakandra katakashom. Oromakatakashi. Coming into the navel. Drashe. The third eye. Onome de katekishi. in the heart. Trakatara shanroma takatakashit etikisha torototo etikita shanroma katakashi iana torototo etikisha toronume esheni. Trakatakasha trakatorto ume rashakate etikara shakatoroto ume rashaka atera. Toromana katakatakoto katakashi etikicha torototo me erashatara anoroma katakatakashi iaha atoroma shaketara atoroto me erashandra etikrishi. Roma arom. Roma de ketekeshe toto kotekeshe etekeshe. Erana rome esheni. Romana rasha norme. Erana shanorme nane. Erashandro makata kata. Oh no no mata katekeshe etekeshe atorotome. Erashaka atoronume eshenia. So I've come to about an inch above the navel. Taranasha koroma atakatakashe inira atoromana eshe. Roma kataka ia nome eshe. Kuatara no me ke tekeshe. Yomana no me she. Oromana te esha no. Irashan koromesha no me tekeshe. Yoma no. Kia te esha no me ne shenira troma shanara trotome shenara. Coming up to the face. Irashen dromeshen. Onono takatakashi tikadashi tikadashaka torotoko shakare takashiki tikadashaka torotoko takashi tikadashi tikadashaka torotoko takashi tikadasha atarasha toromasha noromashakara atakashika etorototo erasheni trakata rashake etakashike etikototo katakashi eyaha orom. Dron. Coming through from the face down into the heart and the navel area now. O anera shandra kateshe, yoromanashe. Idakandra katoktoto mea. Irashandra kato mehe. Era nara shakaroma katakesheya. Ara torokonroma katakeshe. Trakata alome. Ara shakaranara. Tortum. Shiki takashitra atrashakuturum akateke sheker atrodon me sheki. Rashan rakatoro shekaturuko takeshe yaha. Ikarata karshakoto to kotrasheke sheki terashakatortutum me. Rashaka atikashiki tekeshekaturutum. Rashakarano me eshe. Drum. So I'm really kind of circling and sort of going right into the belly button here. Kia ne Yetarana shakyan dromeshe. Oromana katekeshe. O anara shekandrasta. Roma shakandra shete esheya. Drashe. Coming to the top of the hairline again. This navel area. Coming down the forehead. Ikiara shanara shakano meshe. Drotum. Yanasheo, wakano. Drokitara nitarana. Da kandra kate shekadome. Ikara. Drotum. Dodotekekishitikitikisha mehe ikarasha karanome esheni. Doromasha katara atrom erashandra katakashe. Oromakata katakashenia. Oromata kaseya. Dorotomesheya. Oromanashe. Coming back to the left hip here. Wiggling around and working around this left hip bone. Oh, anara kate asheni. Trono no me he. Yasha kanoro makata keshe. O nakarakata kasheyani. Oromakata kasheyani. Oromanea, oromanea, oromanea. Ishankaromete keshe. Oromakata kesheya. Oromata kasheyania. Dromashea, dromashea, dromashea. Arana, 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 arana. Dromashea, nom. Om. Kiane. 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 Some working around so the left temple, round the cheekbone and the jawline to the chin, while in the left hip area. Yatea, shanea, shenea, shenea. Back to the forehead. Ja kärnra chandra kata eshe, innera katrasha era chandra katototo mehe, era shakada tronomeshenira, drotum. Coming to the right temple now. Kiane. 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 Onoromakata kesheni, dromasha andom ekete, ishandoromakate, erashatra an eshe. Ikenera chandra katum, eshe inyum, erakate esha anneraha. Romakate kesha, om. Erashe enyatoromakate keshe, erana orome erashe. Dron oromekate eshe drat oroma eshenia. Ikata eshe nromakate keshe, oroma ateke she iya, eroma akate ke yanom. Intiran irashandrum en aranen. Ikandrashandrum en. Working around the right side of the face now to the chin. Kiane. 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 Back to the right temple. Etrana tromakate eshe. Irana troma eshe. Oromakate yanara me eshe. Ikan rakatron me eshe yani. Irashaka tromakata kashe. Irashandra makate eshe yanum. Irakate keshe ya a. O anara aranara. O anara e. Ikeda shandra katom eshe ya. Kiane. 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 Working still on the left hip and coming down to the upper outer left thigh, the right temple. Aye, 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 oh yeah, oh yeah. Aye, 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 oh yeah, oh yeah. Atrakatome hehe, akara, totototum, ira shakarana, tortum, akara, tortum, takanara shakadra, torumakata kasheya ha, ufwe, tranakatra nanakacha, norumakata katakesheya. Right in the heart center now, in this upper left outer thigh. Terakanveshe, o narakate keshe yanum, rashandra katomeshe, oramate keshe ya, o mashe. Shayana Kotoriana. Akatakishina, Ononomakatakashi, yonomakatakashi, yonomakatakashi, oma, 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 oma. Atakatakarashi niyaha. Ihterashaka no me. Erashan noromakatakashi, olomakatakashi yaha. Doromakatakashi yaniya. Omeshe, omashe, omashe. Coming right down the outer left thigh to the outer left knee. Ia dea kandromake ishe, onomaneshe, oromaneshe, oromaneshe. Itran chandra katum eshe, oron mae eshe, aeshe, aeshe. Drakandra she ianome. Era chandra katume, era chandra kate esheni, oromakate enia, era chandra katume eshe. Oanera, 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 oanera. Ikira chandra kat asha era shakatrat oromeshenira at ofwe. Kiane. 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 Onomakatakeshi. Yanara altrom aneshi. Tromasha katron onomene esheya. Ikarataka ashan romaneshi. Trakato ome e. Onomakatakakeshi trata ashatrakatoroto eniraha. Onoma etekrashekiterashakatronom eshe. Working down now to the upper outer left shin. Yanara atromakatakeshi. Dromanesheya. So I'm sort of doing this sort of almost like energy acupuncture or light acupuncture, working down this outer lower leg now. Hiya, 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 oh yeah, oh yeah. Hiya, 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 oh yeah, oh yeah. Atrana shakanome esheya. Trakanono shenira, trotum, trotum, trotum. Trototrome shekiatra sheya ni. Oromakata kashaya noma ane. Dromakata kasha norome esheya. Working down. I'm just scoot back because I'm going down the lower leg. Ia ne keatran shendromen a shendromen. Rashandromen alanen. E shandra katoromane. E shandra kotoromeshe. E la shandro meneshe nira atrom. E keteke sheyanum. Lift my leg. So working down the outer left leg. Iane e onomeshe yatrakane sheyanum. Eshenom. Oanea, drakanara sheyanum, esheyanara, asheyanara. Atromakakeshe, eromakate keshe, yanara andro meshe, erashandra kate esheya ha. Oanera atra shakandra she iya a. Aye, oh yeah, oh yeah. Aye, oh yeah, oh yeah. Adra shatra katoromashe. Itrana shakandra masheya nia omesheya na. So I'm right in the ankle bone now, the left ankle bone. Holding here. O atrakanishe, o maneashe ni, oromashanira a. Coming up to the upper hairline again. Center point on the forehead. Yanasheo, wakano, drakitara ni tarana atu. Oromaneshe ni, oromaneshe, aumeeshe. Holding here. Kiane. 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 O shenia drashandromesheya. Coming to underneath the ankle bone on the left side of the foot. Iatran shandromashe inyaha drakatomesheya no meshe. Coming down to the center of the forehead. O atira kandra shatom esheya, oromeshe, aromeshe arane esheya. Adni anna sheni, dranasha kolome eshe, ani, rashatro makata keshe. Yaneshe, yaneshe, wakono, drakitara nitarana. So I'm come down right to the base of the foot on the outer edge of the heel. It's like we've followed this very specific circuitry today. Kiane, 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 Kiane. Coming to the heart center. Let's take a deep breath. O anarashandra masheya ofwe. Drakan rashete eshea oromashana, 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 oromashana. Kiane. 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 So I'm really pulsing in this lower heel, just right on the bottom of the outer heel. There's a point here, just holding here with the heart chakra. Itran shandra ketkeshe, oromal shea nara atrum esheni, drakata eshe, ara shandra kata eshe, ara shara, orome sheani yaha, ara shandra makata keshe. Yatra shaya nara, drakande she yan drakate keshe, ohwe. Drashe, 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 drashe. Working through the forehead here, to the temples, through the face. Chin. Yanashio, yanashio, wakunu, dragitara nitara. Wonora makata keshe. Just holding here. It's the heart center. Holding here. So I'm just going to hold on these 2 points and allow some integration here. Okay. Just going to hold here for the moment and see if anything else wants to come through to finish off here in the heart center now. Yetra shandra meshe, yandra kate keshe. O ana o meshe, inia o meya. Drakandra she, dratara shandra makata kashe. So I just want to do some work, more expansive work through the heart field now. Yana shandra kano meshe, drakandra she, atromakata kashe, andra mashe. Wakanane drotumeya, drakana shea, anara shea, alana shea, alana shea, alana shea, dromaye. Wakanane drotumeya, drashe, omaye. Drana shakanra makata kashe, omaye. Era shandra kataya, tromakata kasheya, uwe. Yanera kandra shekiatra nana sheya, uanara. Trana shaya nara meke ashandra katakurmea, trashandra makata kashe, uanara, uwe. So doing some expansive work through the heart and just grounding right down into the earth now. Trana shea, trana omeshe. just coming up to the hips, pointing inwards, doing some bit of stabilization here and calibration. So I'm just coming through the hips, the groin, pointing down through the root to the earth. Iadrana shakania me irashandra makata kasheyanum irashandra katakasheya ora makata kashe ora makata kashe ora makata kashe ora makata kashe. Onra makata kasheya owaye iaran sheyanum ekerashani ora makata meshe irashakani ia rakata anume irshe. So yeah, I'm just going through this lower area just to bring a bit of grounding and integration of this. So I'm working through the lower sort of hip bones, sit bones, root chakra. Yeah, tirakande she, romane, orame, orame, orane keani, shonomane, aranano meshenia. Ja, trana she kiandra kate she, oromane anea, nea, nea, oromane anea, nea. Andra kandra she, ya, owe, owe, owe. Aye, 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 auye, auye, ya. Aye, 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 auye, auye, ya. Trandra shandra heteke shen. Drashe, 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 drashe. I'm just doing a bit of this stabilizing work coming through the pelvis, hips, upper thighs, going down to the earth. Iedra shandro mesheni, oromanashe, oromanashe, oromanashe. Just going to hold here for a moment to let this all settle in. Yes, okay, we are complete. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I invite you to just allow yourself to rest and come around in your own time. If you're feeling really out of it and relaxed, I'd encourage you to stay there. But if you're feeling fine and alert, that's great too. You might want to stretch like Mary. And just take your time and just let yourself receive and integrate how you do that best.
I feel like there's a quantum party going on in here.
I've got really hot now. Yeah, that's so interesting how that was, how specific that was at the beginning. Going down that very specific channel, but that's how it often is now. It's very interesting, like this circuitry. It's like
Yes.
this real building and helping us access this. And it didn't feel like it was clearing. It felt like it was really activating like a fortifying some circuitry. But everyone, you know, it might be different for everyone. But it's so interesting how that happens sometimes, working on very specific lines, like through the body.
Yeah, circuitry is a great way to feel that and understand it. Also, it's important what you just said about, you know, we previously we were talking in terms of sort of releasing things and opening up, but there is also the process of activation that's simultaneous with this, right? We're activating all kinds of things that have been dormant.
Yes, very much so.
activating patterns to then engage, which is exactly what's happening here, the integration now of a whole different kind of internal operation.
Yes,
That's
yes,
exactly.
exactly that, Mary. And so you might, it's like an eternal remembrance coming on, of new things coming online and being restored and reactivated and remembered at a deeper level. And yeah, it's very interesting.
That was really beautiful, and I can tell a difference from the last time to this time, and all different kinds of things coming in. I wanted to just mention, um, so when I channel consensus, I can feel their sort of collective tone and their movements, sort of in that bolus of collective energies. But you have so many different kinds of things coming in, and as you're doing this, I can feel the differences. So I teach a lot about love in this way, and I can feel the different ways that it feels like love. It's like a different tone or texture, a different sort of insistence almost in some cases. And I'm wondering if, as this is happening, you feel all of those, like, how do you feel when those different things are coming in? Do you feel the love in it, or what happens with you
I
internally?
don't feel, I feel very present. I don't feel like I go anywhere. So I don't feel like I step out a bit, like, I don't know how you feel, Mary. Like, I know you said, first of all, it's like your throat kind of went like this, but
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't ever feel like I'm channeling, I always feel like it's seamless in a way, yet also obviously these very different frequencies come through. But I'm just in a complete sort of neutral space is all I can say. It's like I'm doing it and I'm observing it at the same time. So,
But do you feel the texture of like
oh
the
yes,
note? Yeah.
I don't feel any emotion.
Mm.
Like I don't feel there's any yeah, I don't feel any emotion. You most of the time it's completely neutral and just feels pure and neutral. That's all I can say. Like I'm just duh, 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 duh. But yes, I feel
Mm.
the definitely the different textures and qualities. So some of the very soft spoken ones feel very gentle and very, and then some of them are like, oh no, 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 no," like a sort of grumpy old granddad sort of saying, we've got to do this or something, so yeah, it's quite amusing to me sometimes the different sounds and things come through. And I did a lot of this sort of toning sounds today, which I don't know if came through on the sound or not. I'm sorry if some of it didn't. Sometimes it cuts out, but that was interesting how and that Kianeo, the deep one that comes through, feels very sort of deep. It feels very much reweaving us back into our bodies, into the earth. That one, it feels like a deep ancient, like coming back to that ancient remembrance. Yeah, it feels so grounding and so centering to me and like reverent. And so I do feel that sense of them. And there's all the very fast spoken one, which feels kind of very cosmic. But yeah, I do feel, so I do get a sense of them, as qualities and frequencies in that sense. But as for me, at that moment, I just feel like I'm just here,
Mm.
flowing it and in a very neutral place.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Well, it was such a joy to feel just all of the different, it's almost like for me, it's almost like a personal engagement with everything. And when I say personal, it's like a communication that we're so aligned, we're feeling, each other. I love that. That's really beautiful.
Good.
Thank you so
Good.
much, love.
You're welcome. Would you mind if I just say something? Because it's actually quite
No,
important that
go ahead.
um, it's tempting when you experience something like this and you're not familiar with this kind of thing to go into the mind and think, oh, I didn't feel anything, or oh, I don't know what was happening. Just, and to I encourage you not to do that and to just trust that you will receive things in the way you do. If you don't feel anything, that's normal. If you go out of it, that's normal. If you feel lots of sensory experiences, that's normal for you. Some people, have quite, vivid experiences. It depends how you're wired, where you're at, what's right for you. There's no right or wrong, and there's nothing wrong if you don't get it right. And it's often something that will seek in and come to you at a later time. It might be something once you've integrated it, you might have a different realization, or something might come through for you, or remembrance, or I don't know, all sorts of things can happen. You might realize you've let go of a pattern, or you've or something's becoming more real for you. So try to be open-minded and open-hearted is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, beautiful. Everybody's being met right where they are.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
perfectly. All right. Well, if we don't have any further questions, we'll wrap this up. I just want to say that we'll include in the link to Emily's website. So if you want to check out her Heart Havens and any other offerings, and then more information will be coming about what we'll be doing together, which we're so excited about. Um, just it's just all came together very fast and perfect. It just felt perfectly aligned. So look for more information about that in September, late September, early October. And is there anything more that you want to say, love?
No, just thank you, all of you, for participating and welcoming me. I really feel, welcomed, and thank you for letting me into your precious community, Mary. And it's always a joy to connect with you in any way. And thank you for all the hearts and the lovely comments. And I really appreciate all of you being open and participating and bringing, forth these codes, because, it takes, it takes all of us. So thank you for all your collaboration with me. And yes, I do have something I call Heart Haven every week, which is on my website, or if you want to reach out to me, it's a drop-in place for a donation. And like Lynn comes, and I know some of you are familiar with that and come to that if you want more of this kind of thing on a weekly basis. But yeah, I'm going to be updating all my website and everything soon due to this amazing rebirth I've been going through. I've got to redo it all, but that's to come.
Yeah, beautiful. Darling, we love you. We're so thankful for you. Thank everybody for being here, and our time together will be of benefit to all beings. Namaste, namaste.